Oh yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. How's it going?
Welcome back to our 2 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday show. Where we're streaming, we'll be talking about some Chicago stories today. Uh, Gunner, we have an update about your health condition there. I'm sure people would be interested to know.
I'm all good. Tested negative, so I guess I think we're going back to work next week because I think we're just gonna
Wow.
spend the rest of the week being safe, I guess. But yeah, I'm good, which is a relief for me. But I'm just like my head's in so many other different places currently. I guess that it to me
Yeah,
it felt like, oh, okay, because I didn't really think that I didn't. You know what I mean? I felt fine anyways, but I wanted to be safe, and then now I'm good. So you know, that's my update. It's a bad update, but or
it's
it's
a
a good
good.
update, but
It's good. It's good news.
it's good news. But in my world, the way that my head's been working, it's just been like, cool. Like like that's a relief off my shoulders. Cool. Like what's next is like kind of where my head's been at.
Yeah,
I guess I'm very I don't know. I like to work in my head a whole lot. I guess. I guess that's mostly what my big talent is that I I spend a lot of time doing a lot of work in my head about what I want to do next, and then I do it. What's up, Al? Perfect timing. Got my yard mowed between the two shows today. Nice. How was how was Tira's show? I wasn't there. I was asleep. Whoops.
yeah. I'm glad the audience is trickling in. We've noticed that we get a lot of people that are really curious about Chicago. That there's a lot of people that have their own experiences in Chicago. So we have a couple. I think we have like three major stories and a couple stuff to meander through. But audience, I'm trying to get my very slow laptop to work so that we can take your questions, your comments. If you want to be quick on the chat feature, Gunner, like not
Yeah.
super chat specifically, just anybody that has
I'm gonna be.
questions
I'm
or
gonna
insight.
drop in like a ask us questions and we will answer them for more people. If more people decide to hop on, I also should tweet. That's the thing that I always need to remember to do. Ask us questions, we will answer them during the show. Cool.
Hey, hey, hey.
Look at that.
Uh, yeah. So we're gonna try to normalize that because we have our own opinions, we have our own analysis, but at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of independent journalism that reaches a whole lot of the internet. I feel like we have a lot of niche journalistic outlets. I mean, we're included, but if we can start sewing that network together and clarifying for as much of new audiences that are putting their eyes on Chicago, that's what we hope to do. That being said, I'm gonna riff off Kit here, but Gunner, you have a
Go.
story for the people.
What is going on?
What is ongoing?
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, you can't totally. I like that. Not totally stealing his thing. So,
Yeah,
so
that
what
was
is
your
going
thing.
on?
That was your thing.
So what is going on, man? Well, I
Yeah.
saw this pop up in my Twitter feed a couple days ago,
Hmm.
um, but I've just been kind of waiting for the right moment, I guess, to talk about it, just because it's a super big news in Pilsen, which is I should have gotten a map to show you where Pilsen is, but it's sort of in the middle of. I'll do that in a minute. But Pilsen High School votes out police becoming the second CPS school to eliminate cops on campus, which is a super big deal in the city because
Yeah.
I feel like the city has a very like deep relationship currently with the police.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we were
there's
supposed to do this story. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
oh no yeah you were we supposed to we yeah we were I popped it up in the chat, but I don't remember if anyone talked about it
Yeah.
beforehand. Now I'm
But
talking about it now. I guess. Um, oh goodness. There's also some things that I had been seeing. I'm not sure if it's like completely confirmed stuff, but it was apparently there were some text messages between Lori Lightfoot and the uh, the guy who runs up the Federal Order of the Police or whatever,
Yeah,
the FOP.
FOP presidents.
Yes. My brain is not all the way there, but so I saw some things of that. So there's like some tensions growing between Lightfoot and the police, which is really interesting. And at a time where more schools, it seems like, might be on this sort of bandwagon thing to get police
Hmm.
out of schools. I don't know. It's very early on for me, but it seems very like hopeful that it could be like a domino effect, right? Like I would really hope that maybe we could try and see that in some more areas around the city.
Yeah, there's and shout out to the great local school council there and the leadership there that voted out to vote it this way. There's a lot of local organizing that goes into Pilsen, and it doesn't always go eye to eye. Benito Juarez High School itself came about through organizing efforts from organizations that are still there, but that now work a little bit closer with the Democratic Party after such longevity, and now there's other organizations that are a little newer and they push another political agenda. Now there's even newer organizations. Pilsen's always been a very dynamic place, and Benito Juarez as the major high school, that services what you call it, the Southwest Latino population. Making this move is not a small thing at all. And we've seen, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's also been some high schools that have voted in favor, what you call it, through informal surveys of keeping their police. So it really seems to be going neighborhood to neighborhood, and Pilsen, is a flashpoint for like a lot of Latino, like culture and politics in Chicago. And for the high school to make that move, definitely a good signal,
Nearly
especially because
17
got
nearly 1,700 kids are go there.
1,700 kids. Does it talk anything
Yeah.
about the ROTC program there?
Not in this. I'm like just looking in
Mm,
I just like, did a cursory Google search to see
yeah.
like what their population was, but yeah, that's way bigger than like my high school that I went to, but also like I went to a one of two high schools in Arkansas. So, well, in my hometown, not in Arkansas.
I was gonna say, like, let's give Arkansas some credit there, but
I was like 1,100 students, I think, overall.
okay.
It's like significantly smaller though, but like it covered a much broader area, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm just like kind of highlighting parts that I'm like picking out in the story, right? That catch my eye.
Yeah.
The
But
Chicago Board of Education narrowly voted against removing officers from all public schools last month. They'll
yeah.
take on another vote to renew the district's 33 million contract with police in August. So there's a lot of things sort of upcoming that could spur some great change.
Yeah. I mean, like last month's vote failed by one vote, to
So
remove.
yeah,
Yeah. So more high schools, especially major high schools, making moves like this, hopefully will tilt the balance of the conversation at the next Board of Education meeting. And if there's another vote, hopefully it goes the other direction.
I'm like looking now at Quantum E. Heller.
Hello, guys. I was
Hello,
watching stuff
how's it
about
going?
quantum internet at UIC. Oh,
And now I'm Googling quantum internet.
okay. I found this some more news stash. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. A lot of stuff. Hello, Kalita and Al. Al is in here,
Hey,
giggling.
guys.
I've seen more reform done in 2 months of being in the streets than the last 20 years of voting. Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Cool. So yeah, that's sort of my spiel is that I'm just I'm trying to I've been like kind of down a little bit, so I've just been trying to hold on to some hope in this
Yeah.
world, and especially in Chicago, right? Because there's a lot of news recently about just how Chicago's a current hotbed for violence, and it always kind of has been, right? But it's that news is popping back up,
Hmm.
just because it's topical in the world. And so I've had a few phone calls from people who are like, are you gonna be okay up
Oh,
there? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm fine, because it's just, I don't know, there's so many broad issues, and it's like they're not, the whole city of Chicago isn't enveloped in it, right, in the same way,
right.
right? Like you could go 2 miles away in Chicago and be in a completely different place where that has completely different issues going on around it. And yeah, so it's a mixed bag up here. It's not like my small town where if like there's one big issue that's happening, it's like affecting everybody in the town, you know? So like they're not used to that. If they hear something's going on in Chicago, they're like, "Whoa."
Right. I mean, they just figure that you must be affected by it in some way, in some capacity.
And I
Um,
am, but more mentally, right?
right.
More in the mental capacity. I'm lucky in that
Mhm.
sense, privileged and lucky in that sense to be in a to be in an okay spot, to be able to just think about what I would like to see done to change these issues. And that's something that I found this story, and I was just like, yeah, it makes me feel a little bit more hopeful.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
it,
I mean,
yeah,
Clemente High School also voted to get rid of police out of
yeah,
their, and that's another major Latino high school on the northwest side. So Benito Juarez and Clemente both making these moves is a good indicator of like where at least the mainstream Chicago Latino teenager and parent and teacher that services and I mean like the whole community where they're at with this issue, and that's a good indicator. To push a new normal, a more hopeful normal.
yeah,
Pilsen's definitely seen a lot of good political developments, uh, and so has the Northwest Side. It's also seen some difficult developments in terms of gentrification, and I guess tonight's show we're going to talk about all that.
that is true. And we're that's oh yeah, civically minded is going to be at 5, and then
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Corner will be switching over. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work in this like program that we're using to do all this stuff. But yeah, anyways, um, I'm kind of trying to like answer here. I'll show you.
Yeah,
I'll
like
just
the
show you
UIC.
guys. I'm
Hmm.
like kind of trying to answer sort of Kalida's questions in here. Is like,
Mm-hmm.
has it really been, or is it just used to justify putting in federal agents? Which like
Thank you.
that's what I kind of feel it is, right? It's just being hyped up more, but I don't think no, you're not messing up my hope. You're not killing my vibe. It's fine. Uh the I'm like trying to figure out because I don't know, I feel like it's so difficult to really compare things year by year sometimes in like bigger major cities, right? Because there could be so many factors. Like I think that yeah, like um there's been an increase recently. Yes, won't even refute that. Because it is getting kind of weird up and around here. But it's also
Mm-hmm.
weird. There's probably, I would reckon, an increase in every major city, right? Which is very much a directly proportionate thing to like how many people live here and how
Mm-hmm.
compacted people are and how people's problems kind of, it all revolves around like the people in that region are going to be affected the same. And so those people are going to be protesting more, right? So you see protests that are happening in more consolidated areas, and you see it's just a lot of people who live in that area, right? It's different in smaller towns, and but also I think that it's just a big grandstand to be like, yeah, we need to put these feds in here because
Yeah.
what solves crime with guns is just cops with guns. That'll make it go away.
Yeah. That's not good. Is there any particular reason this the Pilsen development was hopeful to you? I mean, it's a great.
Uh, um, I think because like a lot of recently we've been the major protests around Chicago is like CPD out of CPS, right?
Mhm.
And that in combination with the Black Lives Matter George Floyd things, right? Like it's just every sort of bit of news around Chicago has been to me like kind of a struggle, I guess.
What do you mean?
Um
like
because
that
it's like
we're
it's
mostly
good.
reporting on the struggles,
Yeah,
or that
that it's like
reporting.
yeah, like reporting on it, but also just like you see there's like good stories of people who are fighting in the streets, which is good, right? But then there's also uh, just this complete blowback from the city, right? That is basically like, we don't care, we've never cared. We're gonna try and care a little bit, but not really, right? And I've been seeing a whole lot of those things recently, and then like seeing just a little bit of incremental progress and like removing the problem to
Yeah,
me, like that's what really got me hopeful about
yeah.
it.
It is a hopeful thing that through local school councils, through a school, through the aldermanic office there, through the system, there's some pushback. And there was a long history of work that went into normalizing Benito Juarez High School, even reaching that point. So definite, shout out to everyone that made that happen. I mean,
Heck yeah.
it was not an easy thing to get to the city to do.
Al's up in here saying these small,
Hey,
medium cities in central Illinois have seen an increase in gun violence. I think it has to do with the economy. Yeah, that's true. Hungry people do crazy shit. You have a
yeah,
solid point there.
and we'd rather kill all the food and killing all the pigs than give it out for free. So it's also starving people on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Look,
If you want to move to the next thing, Jose, you have
yeah.
a story for the people. What is happening in
Nice.
your neck of the woods?
Nice. It's not necessarily my neck of the woods, so it's not far from where I'm at, and it's changing gears. I thought we were going to start with the story, so I'm a little off. Sorry,
Oh
but
no. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
yeah,
I put them in order, but then because I had brought the story to you, I was like, oh,
right,
whoops.
right. My bad. I think I teed that up wrong. My bad. But
That's
yeah.
okay. We're here.
So speaking of the violence, um, before we were
Mhm.
gonna start violence, then like cops out of school, and then like the other thing, gentrification. Like
And then the other
we're gonna get
thing,
increasingly
we were gonna
boring
like,
and hopeful,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
we were
there
gonna
was a thing.
start. I wasn't supposed to start with the hope first, so like that's my bad.
It's
Uh,
okay, because you were feeling down, and I'm not sensitive enough to that, so that's on me.
oh
And
no.
we need more hope. We need more hopeful stories. So I should
Well,
be.
it's okay. What a cliffhanger! I know, what a cliffhanger. My mouse died, and so now I'm just like trying to. I'm improvising with this little pin thing that my
Oh
friend
dear.
has.
Oh man.
Ready, set,
Go.
bam.
Right. So as you guys have probably heard, there's been an uptick in violence. What you call it? Most recently and most tragically, there was a mass shooting at a funeral. It ended up with 15 people shot. Many passed away, and it is being said to be a gang shooting. What people aren't aware of, you know, while Chicago violence is reaching 2016 levels, police were tipped off that this funeral was going to be targeted by shooters, by what you call it, a gang shooters. There was actually a single police car monitoring the funeral that didn't prevent the shooting, and the shooter was eventually apprehended. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to pull up the story. My laptop is so slow. Can you help me read what?
Yeah. Um, the oh man,
I mean,
I'm like scanning
people's
through
earlier
it.
point, like is it really getting worse, or is this a pretext for sending the Fed in? I mean, clearly the Chicago police are not. They're sending half their police force to guard a statue downtown,
Yeah, but then
while
they're
community
normally just like,
organizers are putting their lives on the line by tipping them off about impending violence, and they sent a single squad car, failed to prevent the shooting. Um, they have someone in custody, but
it's just okay. It's kind of like maddening to me
mhm.
that it's like
Here.
Danahan said that the murder itself was retaliation for a previous shooting, and it's like Okay, so why weren't you there to stop it if you were monitoring it because it was involved in like that? Like what was preventing you from stopping it? That's that's maddening. I
I mean, and recall this is in a major American city in the age of NSA and the age of video, like face recognition software. When we have blue box cameras already, and some of the most more violent neighborhoods of Chicago, where Chicago police are already militarized with all the latest toys that they can get their hands on up to this point. And clearly, and I shared a link in the Slack. If you can share this Facebook post, I feel apprehensive sharing her name, the name of the community organizer. But she posted about reaching out to these gangs to try to mediate this violence, try to mediate these personal beefs that are escalating, and her trying to involve the police to stave off more death, and just being completely frustrated, to grow up and live in these dynamics. She also had a very powerful Facebook post, where she kind of clarified that she grew up with gang members in her family and her block as her neighbors who, were part of her community for lack of opportunity and lack of what you call other kind of cohesion and what you call group stability. There were members of gangs, but they were also, you know, people that were trying to get by day to day, and brothers and cousins that helped her read and helped her with her homework, that babysat her. She just views the violence in Chicago very differently, and this kind of nuanced take on Chicago communities, on Chicago neighborhoods, on gang culture, on the natural reoccurrence of gang culture in Chicago's in American major urban centers, especially with populations that are consistently and systematically oppressed by the government, let alone private financial institutions. This is not a narrative that gets blown up in the media, let alone in City Hall and by elected officials, let alone by our President of the United States, who responds to this failure by the police to stop a mass shooting that they were tipped off about, by sending federal agents in. Now, those federal agents, Lori Lightfoot is trying to add.
I just want to clarify. She is named like in this article that we're sharing,
Okay.
also, already. So that's why I was like, okay, I feel fine with sharing her because she's
Tamar Manasseh.
yeah, because she is actually named in this article.
Tamar Manasseh.
Uh, yeah. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah, Mothers Against Senseless Killings. Anti-violence activist Tamar Malsen, founder of the group Mothers Against Senseless Killings, wrote on social media that she had wanted police at Tuesday's funeral, and there was a potential shooting target, and expressed frustration that CPD had not done enough to keep people safe. I mean, and this is,
Yeah,
and
which
so,
is like this is my whole point is she's like, please tell me how this happened after the police had been notified that it would. I mean,
and
yeah,
that's a narrative that I don't know if it reaches CNN, if it reaches MSNBC, if Fox News is going to give us any airtime, but national news from Chicago should incorporate a lot of the activist voices from the ground and the longtime residents and their experiences there. It shouldn't always go through our public and official institutions, because clearly, Lori Lightfoot is dog whistling in two directions. She's making it, trying to act tough, that she's going to not let Trump send feds to take people off the street like they are in Portland, and add nuance to the way that she would use the federal agents that Trump is sending out, but also in that same sentence and in the same speech, indicating that she's going to be working with Trump's federal agents as she deems fit for what they could be doing in Chicago. Uh, the way that she has been using Chicago police and CPD thus far doesn't, you know, create a lot of enthusiasm or hope for this next endeavor with the Fed coming to town. And again, especially because clearly there's a lot of the answers, a lot of the common sense things, a lot of the common sense criticisms that you get from outside of Chicago. You know, what about black on black crime? What about, you know, where's the protest for this? Where's the organizing for this? It's always been there. You don't hear about it. And someone like Lori Lightfoot that's so antagonistic to the entire activist community, to community organizing as a whole, and to the voices like Tamar, who's, you know, trying to do her best to work between two worlds for the greater good of everyone. Those are the voices that constantly get ignored and shushed out. And you know, I found this article that, you know, had finally focused on Tamar's side of the story, and wanted to lend that. You know, she's very brave by putting her name front and center of this. She is. And but there's always been mothers and activists, members of communities that have organized and fought in Chicago for a better community that you have not and will never hear about.
I'm trying to pull up this article about Lori Lightfoot text messages.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is total WrestleMania politics here, but please do.
I just think that it's applicable, I think, to what all we're talking about here. I'm also bear in mind I'm using this pen on this pad to use my mouth. It's very, very nice. In which she called the FOP, the Chicago FOP president John Catanzara, in which she called him a clown, a fraud, a cartoon character, and a liar. Which is
all true,
but just wild, right?
True.
Federal troops in our city, all of Portland.
Timmy's upset.
Responsible. How does that make sense? What is he? What should he be doing? What he should be doing is focusing on the things that are actually important to his members.
True.
Did note the city's crime problem and say that Lightfoot is a complete failure in each of them. So there's kind of like a weird sort of like pissing contest that's happening, which I feel like is very indicative of what I've kind of only seen from Lightfoot. Is she antagonizes and says she's going to go one way, but then she doesn't.
Right.
But then she just like defends that it's okay for her to say things. I don't know, which is like, that's the job of a protester, I think, is to say things that matter to people like Lori Lightfoot, who are supposed to then do the things that they say, but she doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, it's part of our WrestleMania politics. Like, if the Chicago Police Union had, you know, voted in a very boring, you know, mild-mannered guy that was all about the contract and all about overtime pay and all about health benefits and pensions and increase in members, that guy wouldn't make the news. But they instead voted in a clown. They voted in, you know, someone that chases headlines like a, you know, ambulance chasing lawyer. And Lori Lightfoot much more would prefer to deal with someone like that can act as a foil, and she can riff on the media with a back and forth and seem tough, while the nuance of it all, the nuts and bolts, her actual power, you know, she can keep working towards the status quo. It's a real Ron Emanuel move, which is really ultimately what's disappointing about her. You know, she is tough, she is smart, she does have, you know, a certain kind of savvy charisma about her, and she uses it to maintain. Yeah, I mean, she's like, you know, she's got some charisma, you know, for sure, a little bit, you know, for her scowling kind of demeanor. She uses it well. She wields that stuff well, but she uses it to maintain the status quo, and detrimentally so to the youth of Chicago, which the city is not promised to. Ultimately, is my biggest beef with all of this. The youth of Chicago have been the most terrorized, group of kids, and most failed by one of our public school institutions. systematically so. And now, thanks to gentrification and the politics of climate change, they're also just now a petri dish of experiments for ed tech and which mega city education that they can systematically make happen in a little bit easier way than they can in New York. So it's all rough here. I kind of want to address something that I see in the chat. Tibby says, "You're a sucker if you believe anything you're saying." I know, Timmy. I know that. You're a sucker if you believe anything you're saying. You should blame those responsible. I'm trying to. That's literally what the media thing is all about. It's called personal responsibility and accountability. Try it sometime. Ouch. Okay. Well, I did grow up in the city. I was both subjected to its urban violence and privilege of what you call a democratic. Well, I was really part of the patronage system, but definitely a systematic immigrant winners and losers and choosing. So I'm trying to take some personal responsibility with my life story by trying to explain that back to an audience that haven't lived here, haven't grown up here, and don't have much more to say other than the simplistic things that national media tries to put out there. So that's the whole thing here. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you donate.
Has Pritzker said anything? Holly Horn asked.
Good question, Holly. Yeah, can we look into that?
Yeah,
Pritzker, where you at, yo? Yeah, Mr. I'm kind of likable and the everyday man. Yeah, he's probably hiding.
JB Pritzker. Into Lightfoot? Oh, that seems like that might be.
He's probably gonna just hide behind Lightfoot's.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's like more recent than like June.
No bueno. Which goes back to the narrative that, a lot of people call the urban activist scene in Chicago a right wing or brainwashed or just like contrarians, that they go against the liberal narrative. They're just against Democrats. The fact of the matter is, JB Pritzker's quiet. Thank you, Holly, for your question. Lori Lightfoot's talking from both sides of her mouth, dog whistling in two directions. And at the end of the day, the narrative that the activists see and experience, as Tamar has, is that the Democratic machine here, the powers that be here, they want Trump's Fed to come into Chicago. They want to make use of those resources. And they also want the optics of saying that they don't. So they want it both ways. And the fact of the matter is that you're probably going to see a lot more undocumented communities be targeted by ICE. You're going to probably see a lot more gun sale people be targeted, but then as an excuse to lift people off the street for walking about and doing their own business. So I think it's slightly too loud. Sorry.
Yeah, so the last time that Pritzker said anything was to like Trump's letter that he sent like a month ago or nearly a month ago, and then Lightfoot responded with all of like, I don't need governing advice from Trump. That's basically the last time that
wasn't she just on a phone call with Trump on Wednesday night about how to use the Fed in Chicago? Isn't that governing advice? Isn't that? Can you look that up?
Kinda.
Can you look that up?
Yeah,
Lightfoot Trump Wednesday night phone call.
Lightfoot.
It's like, I don't need governing advice, but I'll take it. Sorry, it's my microphone. Terrible, guys.
It's like, I mean, it is. I don't know. It's your phone. It sounds fine to me, but I'm not that. I don't know.
Oh.
The only time it sounds bad is like usually we get to the end of a show, and that's usually where it sounds like you are going into a tube, but then it switches on and off. I don't really know. Yeah. So I got the story here. But blam. Well, it's a video story. I'm not prepared to play it. So yeah, I mean, they had a phone call. me find like the regular story for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Mayor's office said,
the feds are not the
yeah.
friends. It's not that bad.
Yeah. I love news
Mm.
anchor face. That's like maybe my favorite thing is like,
News anchor face.
yeah, like the faces that they make, like, because little fun fact, local news people, right, like they do have a delay, and there's usually like a photographer who's like cueing them whenever they're live. And so like for the time in between that, you just have to like sit there and like make a face, right, because you could be on at any point in time. And
Sure.
I have worked with enough reporters to have seen like all of them try and like sit there for a second and go,
Yeah, I feel
a
that.
fire last night, and it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, that's, I just love
News
news
reporter face.
anchor, yeah, news reporter face. Yeah,
News face. Yeah.
the Fed's not the friends. Yeah, you right, Kate. Yeah, that's the I see where you were reading that.
Good point by E. Heller. I haven't watched them all, but I bet if you catch one of Pritzker's daily COVID updates, it's probably been asked about the Trump Stapo. Nice word choice. Trump Stapo. I like it.
It's a good place to look.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
Drinking tea and talking about fighting stances. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
I lived in a big city, not an easy life sometimes. On a lighter note, the next time the video and audio go out of sync, I hope you guys do a spoof of the old kung fu movies.
Fun.
I remember your comment from before, like the whenever that was happening in the show, everything was kind of off. Um, let's see. I don't see.
Mm.
I don't see anything else. Basically, I don't know. Yeah. So do you want
Yeah.
to get? We've talked about the violence. We made it through the most violent part, and I think that we did all right.
Okay, you're right. Not too
So do you
depressing,
want to?
not too preachy. A little preachy,
Yeah.
my bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
So
All
we
right,
can
yeah.
we can move
Make-
into this like just super exciting story.
It's a little dense. It's a little, it's not, it's, yeah. All right. It's a little exciting. It's progress somehow, a little bit. Obama Center project spurs affordable housing development measure. Woohoo! Right? Right?
Cool. Seems okay. Yeah, affordable housing. I can get down in parts of Woodlawn.
Housing's great and affordability is good, but what is affordable? Let's
Yeah.
read into it.
What does that mean?
Yep.
That's a good question.
I mean, though still under federal review, the $500 million Obama Presidential Center promises to draw thousands of visitors a year, along with multifamily investors, which got to the surrounding Jackson Park. The project, however, has drawn pushback from Woodlawn residents who fear it will contribute to gentrification of the area and with rising home prices making the neighborhood increasingly unaffordable. Oh my God, sorry. So I can't pull it up on my laptop.
All
Um,
right, I got you.
go for it.
Now, Chicago officials have hammered out an agreement with Woodlawn residents and the local alderman, which will require developers to include affordable housing components for projects on city-owned property, according to Cranes. It will also provide up to $20,000 in funding for home improvement work to some homeowners. The measure, expected to be introduced in the city council this week, came after months of negotiations and meetings. So cool. Uh, that's actually pretty. That's pretty interesting. The $20,000 in funding for home improvement work to homeowners. That's pretty nice. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
right?
failing homes in the city that I'm sure a lot of people can't afford, especially right
Hmm.
now. So
Yeah.
that would be really nice. Um,
It's almost like, why isn't there a public program for that already?
yeah, that would be kind of. Oh wow, For
Wow.
future developers, it means any residential construction on dozens of Chicago lots in that area must have at least 30% of the units affordable for people earning 30 to 50% of the area's median income.
How big is the area? That's a good question to ask. Is it all of Chicago or is it just the local area? Well,
I think it's all just Woodlawn, right? So that's, I'm
let's
going
hope
to,
so. Historically, not the way Chicago does affordable housing. They usually use all of Chicago as the area, which messes up prices and drives gentrification. But hopefully, I mean,
in
these
Terra
organizers are
Grande.
savvy to that. And Mayor
Just
Lori
trying to
Lightfoot
click.
said she is hopeful the measure can pass in September. Alderman Jeanette Taylor, who represents the area, said the agreement is a start. Taylor has pushed for larger measures to keep housing affordable and create greater economic benefits for the neighborhood. It will only create 45 units of affordable housing and it will only help 60 homeowners, she said, according to Cranes. We just need more. I mean, like, I'm sure that's great. That's 60 homeowners. Those are probably families, probably with long histories, and I'm sure that is a decent impact. We also seem to be limiting, who can win out in the situation, who's just out of luck. There you go. So you see that
Damn.
I'm glad that you highlighted that green space that you guys see next to the lake. Thank you. That's Jackson Park. It's a beautiful park. I recommend. I mean, actually, you probably shouldn't be traveling amidst COVID, especially if you're coming from like a hotspot area. No offense, I love you guys, but Jackson Park is a beautifully already developed park. It's one of our few Southside lakefront parks. And that's where the Obama Center is going to be. If you go a little bit to the left, I mean, more inland and then up, you'll see Washington Park above the area. It's right above the highlighted area that you have. It's directly
Oh,
above it.
gotcha.
No, even more to the left than that. It's right by where that little blue museum. Yeah, it's right there. That is Washington Park. That park, if you the north side of that park, the northwest part of that side of that park, you have a much different kind of neighborhood than you have around Jackson Park. That you'll have a lot more of the Hyde Park, University of Chicago.
That's very true. I live like literally somewhere up around here.
Mhm.
Whenever I first moved to Chicago, and then I like would do things up and around here and over closer towards Jackson Park, and it is wildly different because where's the university? Oh gosh, it's somewhere. Do. I could look it up, but I'm lazy.
Right. Well, the whole point being, like the area between Washington Park and that highway, which called there's University of Chicago, which intersects around Washington Park, right? It kind of uses the parks as a buffer for um, a lot of the poverty that is surrounding one of the richest Ivy League, which call it, universities in America. And they're going to build the Obama Center in Jackson Park, where it's already kind of developed and already really pretty. A lot of people had wanted the Obama Center in Washington Park because it would have spurred on development in one of the more impoverished neighborhoods of America. But the Obama Foundation wanted the pretty already developed land around Jackson Park. So that's where it's
That's
going to be.
also where the DuSable Museum of African American History is. We talked about that, I think, last time.
Which everyone should go check out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Mathnasium. The Mathnasium is cool too. Anyways, just getting distracted on looking at a map now. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So
really have too many. I mean, I think it's good that they want to spur economic development, but at like how do they want to tackle it, right? Do they want to do it to uplift the neighborhood or to uproot the neighborhood,
well, that's what that's the hard task that Alderman Jeanette Taylor was voted in, to fight. A lot of the new aldermen have a lot of very difficult fights, in front of them on the south side, in that ward. This is a positive development that a community benefits agreement would be signed by a major developer, and it's somewhat of a decent precedent to set. It's also, you know, most likely because the Obama Foundation is under such immense pressure from local communities in Chicago to acquiesce to some kind of deal. Um, and I'm sure that at some point, community members are going to have to. What was that? I'm sorry. At least affordable.
Those affordable housing clauses are apparently totally ignorable if you grease the right politician. Yeah.
I mean, that's true in Pilsen, where Danny Solis was the alderman beforehand that really spurred on gentrification in Pilsen. He had affordable, keep the promise ordinances that so many developers were able to sidestep by just paying a little bit extra.
Okay, it says land the Obama Center is now beyond is the National Historic Register. Plenty of land around there that they could have bought and helped with economic development.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is plenty of space, definitely
Well,
around there.
Obama's
That is,
billionaire friends only like him so much. They like him when he's citing their laws into place, not when he wants to build his big, huge monument to himself.
I mean, but just think about how beautiful that view is going to be.
Yeah. Well,
for
I don't know.
for all the people who are going to have all the money to be able to stay there and do it. Yeah, no, it's a bad idea.
I mean,
There's
it
plenty
could have
of
been done
other.
better.
Yeah.
And it's quite frustrating. I was an intern at the Metropolitan Planning Council in 2015 when a lot of these plans were kind of still fresh. And I remember being tasked with trying to stop a community benefits agreement, trying to find case studies to prove that they're not very effective. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem so nice. And then I found that they're really nice ideas, that could be implemented a little better, but developers just don't like them. And that's unfortunately the role that the Obama Foundation plays in this. They're a major developer, and as we see, that's the violence of gentrification, that it erases people's stories that are there. Like we talked earlier, local community organizers that are actually trying to uplift stories of community trying to fend for itself and protect itself and ask for help and ask for the resources that it needs to better help itself, and instead they just get kind of glossed over with a lot of money, a lot of corporate media, and then brand new developments.
Yeah, and then on and on and on, and then those will get too expensive and they'll get run down because no one will keep up with them, and then they'll just turn into all of the other kind of like new economic developments that I think you see around in places. It's just budget is like $500 million. I think they could have bought a couple city lights. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, probably.
That's basically it. So yeah, I don't have anything else. we can answer questions for a wee bit and then just figure out what to do from there. Then after that, tonight will be Lainey's show, and then
what you call it? Can you look up? Well, yes, but the Chinese didn't put everything for sale.
What you got?
There's a new Bill and Ted 3 trailer. Dope. Thanks for telling me, Heller. I will check that out.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, in my country, people keep saying China is buying all the country. Soon everything is Chinese. Yes, but the Chinese didn't put everything for sale. Haha. That's the Chicago. Yeah, thank you, Kalita. No, Rufus. No good. Yeah, good call, Al. But I'm with you, Keller. Maybe the movie will save us.
I didn't mean to highlight that.
No, that's maybe the movie.
I didn't mean to. Maybe the movie will save us, but now I have to highlight this because I did with my own.
We feel you, Kalita. It's our country.
Okay.
Put us for sale either.
We're just all trying to get by, right? No Rufus, no good. Al.
That's for the Bill and Ted 3 movie.
That's for the Bill and Ted. Yeah, we're just jumping around here now. I don't even.
There was a cool lawyer that I was in a Wikipedia tunnel. Clarence Darrow. was a Chicago ACLU lawyer, and he handled some tough civil rights cases in Chicago in the 1910s. And hey, yeah, that dude. I don't know. I was just reading about him, and what you call it. I encourage people to look into him. He's a cool dude, but sounds like a bit of a weirdo. But he was also super into Georgian, what you call it, politics or economics. Georgian economics, which I think if you go to like his summary at the top, you could probably click and link. And I did want to eventually do a solar punk episode of Fear and Loathing about around Georgian economics, but I would really love if someone smarter and more knowledgeable than me about it would come on. But yeah, Clarence Darrow is just like your all around, you know, kind of background civil rights fighter at a time where, you know, you can't say that the 1910s was an amazing decade for the civil rights movement, right? You're not going to say that the 1910s we really turned race relations around, but he was seemingly a relentless fighter for those endeavors and just all around American dude. My reason for highlighting a lot of this is that America's seen a lot of these times and a lot of these dynamics over and over and over again. And much like the community organizers and activists of Chicago, whose stories get erased and glossed over, you don't really hear about them as much, right? They don't fit neatly into the overall narrative of the American trajectory and manifest destiny. But he's someone that, you know, really fought hard. I mostly brought him up to bring up the Georgian agriculture economics, because that goes back to we should be giving people, the public, more land, and the government's primary function should not be protecting private land, but working overtime to redistribute that private land into the public hands. Not that people can't eventually buy up private land, but once they're done using that land should not be indefinitely held by the ghost of a corporation. This is not a new idea, and moreover, it's not a communistic idea. It's a very much holistically American idea brought about by the very dynamics that we have today of a runaway robber baron billionaire culture and a increasingly poor and less, what you call it, a free American populace, which is why I bring up Georgian economics. Darrow was in the Al Capone movie. He was murdered. Oh, damn. Thanks, Kate. Wow. Okay, so Darrow was the kind of guy that Al Capone would murder. So, you know, go Jose. Thanks, little. Yeah.
Wild.
Wild. Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah, I've just been like kind of skimming through all of the stuff. He does have a whole lot of just interesting national cases that had some national renown. Interesting.
Yeah. And
Discord.
Heller found a video of Pritzker in the Discord. I guess we can maybe share and close out with. Yeah. Kate's right about the Obama library. It's not even a library. It's just like a presidential center. Right. So my reason for bringing up this is my ways of being hopeful. I do like to look for people that are doing the work now. I do like to pontificate and envision a happier future, a more futuristic, practical, but much more hopeful future. But also look to the past. You know, for when, you know, we've been in these places before. People, that's what stories are all about. It's just remembering that someone somewhere has gone through something like this, and you know, they got through it to tell you about it enough. So you know, Darrow, I include in that. You know, Georgian economic movement in America. You know, like to include in that. Oh, what does Pritzker have to say here? CBS.
I'm trying my best. I don't have Discord on this computer. So
there. saw you share something on the Slack there, but again, I got a
I'm
very slow
getting
laptop.
through
You're
here.
gonna have to help me here.
Oh no, I got you. I just trying to get ready. And then there's a kitty.
Hey, kitty.
There we go. There we
Oh, it's
go.
yesterday from Pritzker. There it goes.
Nice. And I made it just in time to not watch the
some force of the Federal Protective Services that might arrive, the kinds of forces that are on the ground in Portland. And so we're talking about that, working that out. We are hopeful that that will not be the case. We know that the ATF, the FBI, the DEA are coming to and are in Chicago, engaged in activities to help our local law enforcement. The state police are engaged in that. Chicago Police Department, police departments across the state, in fact, are engaged in that. And that seems legitimate activity to go after criminal enterprises. And I encourage that. We need to get violence and criminal enterprises shut down. But it's this other thing that's going
Madigan's
on.
office.
Camouflaged uniforms with no identification about who they are, claiming to be protecting federal buildings when in fact they're going blocks and blocks away from federal buildings to do things like throw people into vans and arrest them without telling them why they're being arrested, and then keeping them for hours before letting them go. That is not something that is acceptable in the state of Illinois or the city of Chicago.
All right. Well, seems to have a real Lori Lightfoot approach to it all. Did want to remind, because I know we rag a lot on cops and the institutions of law enforcement and how punitive they are towards their own citizens and their own civilians. ATF agent was killed, was shot last year, I believe, 2019, or was it? It might have been the fall of 2018. In investigating gun sales in backyards neighborhood. So I don't want to diminish the very real danger and the very real attention that the cartels and other very major criminal enterprises seek to have in Chicago. My issue is that we have an entire floor in the Cook County building dedicated to the Department of Homeland Security. We have an national FBI headquarters located within the city of Chicago. We've had the DEA has always been focused on Chicago as its major focus on the war on drugs. The ATF clearly has found the very real violence and threat of violence in Chicago, no strangers to our city. What are another 175 agents supposed to add and clarify and correct when the violence that Trump is sending these agents on has nothing to do with the black market ongoing violence of heroin sales, open market sales, consistent wholesale drugs going into our transportation centers to be redistributed into the rest of rural America? The violence that Trump is decrying on Twitter and in the media has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the police and the way that they protect colonizing institutions and the punitive damage that they do onto citizens as a norm that's been ongoing, that we saw come to a flashpoint last weekend. That violence is the public trying to uprise and have their voices heard into a new normal. It has nothing to do with the violence that is very concentrated in very small in very limited communities from an ongoing black market that stems from the prohibition that continues the war on drugs, that continues empowering all of these federal institutions, and all of the powers that they have. So there's just a lot of hypocrisy that's going on. And I don't want to confuse anyone and say there isn't criminality or bad and dangerous violence going on in Chicago, just that Trump is not here to help that. And Lori Lightfoot and Pritzker, hoping to make good use of this opportunity to help that in any way, shows that they weren't really making good use of all of the very many federal resources they already had to combat this problem. So that's what I wanted to soapbox about a little bit. My bad.
No, you're good. Yeah, yeah. It's a problem that begets itself, right? And Trump sending more troops to supplement 13,000 police and hundreds of other people who have already been here doing the job that they're supposedly coming to do better than.
You want to take care of the Mexican cartels, you legalize cannabis, you pass Medicare for all, you cut into their black market operation, which is their bread and butter for winning small-time dealers into their operation. And then you deal with the mental health problems with your healthcare system. And by taking away that chunk, you can go after the heroin, the opium, the cocaine, and actually stop the criminal enterprises, and then prop up your Banana Republic American corporations once you decide to legalize it, which is probably what they want to do long term. But the president of Mexico is ready to sit down and legalize cannabis. Canada is already there. Trump is the problem here, and Joe Biden doesn't seem like he's posturing for much better. And at the end of it's the law enforcement culture that does not want to accept defeat by the cartels in legalizing and ending prohibition that enables and empowers them so much by prohibiting the American public from even taking any of the drugs that we're the biggest market for anyway. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, America is turning out drugs everywhere. I think part of it was we were created for that. It was created
for consumer
for that.
culture, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we just consume drugs? Biden is placeholder candidate. I do think they probably will switch him out with Cuomo, who might have less blackmail material. I don't know, maybe. Still
and he also has had a pretty good run, all things considered, during COVID, right? Like he got to be the.
Has he? He he got to be like the. Hate New York so much, a little bit, like they're mainstream Democrat.
I'm speaking at it from a mainstream media perspective, right? Because Cuomo gets to be the guy who's just sort of been at the forefront, right, of coronavirus talks or whatever. It's because he was at the epicenter, and now Florida has become sort of the epicenter for it, and it's Florida, so there's not much to learn to expect from there, I guess. Ouch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, just in comparison and what I think that they would talk about on mainstream media if Cuomo were running for president, which he said before he doesn't want to, but a lot of people say that, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't say no to more power. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's he's definitely got a lot of help from the media. They would love to, and I'm sure the media would love to reassert its power over the public by, pulling something like that off. I would hope they don't. That's the whole point of independent media, is to keep the wag the dog type of power that the fourth estate should, be working in the other direction, from working against us. But I don't know.
Kalita says, "Look, Jose, if they just get a little bit more money, then they can efficiently do their job. Just a little bit more."
Yeah, then if they do it, then they can help people. I hear that. I hear that a lot. I'm from Chicago. Does Chicago get smoke yet? We have medical, and we actually have recreational cells as well.
But it's very kind of spotty currently.
It's a little spotty. As I have a medical card, I'm able to access it from my dispensary anytime. Mostly, but
whoa!
Oh no!
Is everything okay, Mona? Just making sure. How's your mom doing?
Oh, I'm so
Pop
sorry.
all that up. Yeah, we can take a moment. Just be like, I just saw you pop in here. So can they really switch in Cuomo?
They could. It'd be a weird move.
It would also probably not.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mona. Mona Carmona, show regular. Your mom's coming home to pass, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You have to be with her, but it's under these circumstances.
But yeah, I've been there. I mean, sadly, I've been in a similar situation. So
yeah,
my heart goes out to you, Mona. I just
everyone here at Heartlands, we all really, really appreciate all that you've contributed and how much you shared with us here at the show, Mona. No, Not don't be
No,
sorry at
no,
all.
it's okay.
Yeah, don't
It's
be
okay
sorry
to
at
be
all.
sad, and it's okay to. That's what we're here. Yeah,
Life is hard
yeah.
enough to get through without all of the added layers that our awful human institutions and systems add. Um, yeah, Mona. Just
I don't have any good. I don't have any good jokes currently.
I
To bring
yeah,
up from the moment,
my
but
words are pretty empty,
yeah,
but just know that we really, really appreciate you so much, Mona.
yeah.
And, thank you. And you know, yeah, we'll keep trying to be here for whenever you're ready to find a
Oh
place
yeah,
for
oh
people that
yeah.
really appreciate you.
When you take your time, and we'll keep your seat warm for you. Is that what the
Keep your
expression
seat.
is?
Yeah, being with your mom during these times. Yeah.
Goodness. Well, now I feel bad about feeling like we're gonna sign off on that, but also
Well,
shouldn't.
no, I mean, don't. Thank you,
Solidarity.
Mona. Solidarity.
Solidarity.
Love to your mothers. Blessings to you guys, and to all of you at Heartlands that tune in. We do this not because I hate capitalism, because I hate you know uh, this or that. It's because we need to love life and each other in the time that we have here as much as possible, um, and not be pitted against each other. So thank you, Mona, for sharing what all that you've shared, and you'll be in our thoughts, and we'll be here. You know. Anyway,
Blam.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Gunnar, take us home.
Thanks for joining us today. If you were just getting in late, we were we were both feeling kind of lower energy whenever we started this, and I feel slightly a little bit better. It's always just good to see you, Jose. I miss you. Miss your face.
Thanks,
Also, if
buddy.
you're making it to the end of it, I'm good. So we'll probably be back in the studio next week. Um, all good things. All good things happening to look forward to. Gardening with Gunner, Ayana. I need I need to get some plants first. As the this is
I need
actually where
plants in here. Yeah.
that's but once we do that, then that's Daniel is in here. Life is hard. Yeah, and but we persevere, and we keep going, and we talk about it when we need to, and we do whatever. You sent 3. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You sent me 3 plants.
Whoa, whoa. Cool. Thanks, Daniel. Everyone at Heartlands had gone through so much more than I have, really. Even growing up in Chicago, I've been very fortunate, you know, in some ways. Uh,
Okay, okay, okay. I
oh,
see. I see what's going on. Okay, I got you. Okay, cool, 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 cool.
yeah. Make sure to check out Kira's what you call it, Corporations Behaving Badly, which aired earlier today,
Yeah,
and Lady Peterson's Civically Minded, which will be airing later today at 5 p.m.
Civically Minded will be on the HLM channel, and then Chicago Corner will be right back here on Chicago Corner. So
Cool.
yeah, tune in. We'll see you then. In the meantime, peace and bacon grease. Unless you're vegan, sorry, that was really bad. Oh God, ooh.